Imagine you wake up tomorrow morning, right? You grab your phone to handle some frustrating government paperwork.
Oh, we all know that feeling.
Yeah, exactly. But you suddenly realize something totally bizarre. The entire concept of a smart app is just dead.
Completely gone.
Gone. You don't have to download anything. You don't have to navigate a drop-down menu, and you definitely don't have to wait on a loading screen.
Which, I mean, it forces us to completely reevaluate our baseline for convenience, doesn't it? For a decade now, we've been conditioned to accept that navigating a digital portal is, well, the absolute peak of civic interaction.
Welcome to the deep dive. I am thrilled you're joining us today because we are looking at a breaking reality that completely rewrites that baseline assumption.
It really does.
Today, we are opening up an exclusive and frankly astonishing editorial report from the April 23, 2026 edition of Date of AI, our mission for this deep dive. To figure out how the UAE president just mandated a transition of 50% of all government operations to autonomous agentic AI.
Yeah, a massive shift.
And we are going to explore how they plan to execute this within a seemingly impossible 24-month timeline. Okay, let's unpack this. The source makes it really clear we are no longer talking about AI as a reactive digital tool.
Right, no more chatbots.
Exactly. Under this new mandate, AI is officially classified as an autonomous executive partner.
What's fascinating here is the sheer scale of this directive. I mean, the transition applies to 50% of all government sectors, services, and operations.
Which is huge.
Oh, it's unprecedented. This means the evaluation metrics for entire ministries have fundamentally shifted overnight. Success is no longer measured by, traditional key performance indicators alone.
Right, so what is the new metric?
It's now driven by a department's velocity of AI adoption and its ability to completely redesign massive legacy workflows around these autonomous systems.
I'm struggling to see how this is fundamentally different from the automated portals we already use, though.
How?
Because if I look at my current tax software or, the automated banking alerts I get, a lot of that feels autonomous already. I don't really do anything, and it calculates my returns.
Sure, yeah.
I know we are moving past basic chatbots that you have to prompt, but is agentic AI mechanically different enough to warrant tearing down and rebuilding half of a nation's government infrastructure in just 2 years?
The underlying mechanics are entirely different. What you are describing with tax software is a rigid, rules-based automation.
Okay.
It follows a very strict, pre-programmed track. If A happens, do B. Even standard large language models, LLMs, operate in a reactive environment.
Because you still have to tell them what to do.
Exactly. Think of traditional LLMs like a highly intelligent GPS system. It can calculate the absolute best route for you. It can tell you where the traffic is, but, well, you still have to physically drive the car.
Right.
You carry the cognitive load of execution. Agentic AI, on the other hand, is a level 5 self-driving car.
Oh, I see.
It sees the traffic, turns the wheel, makes real-time adjustments based on unpredictable variables, and gets you to the destination while you literally just sit in the back seat. Agentic systems possess what we call goal-oriented autonomy.
So it's not waiting for a user to initiate the sequence?
Not at all. It acts as an active executor. An agentic loop constantly analyzes massive, unstructured data streams in real time.
Wow.
Yeah, it identifies a problem autonomously, formulates a policy action or a sequence of tasks to solve that problem, executes those tasks across various digital environments, and then audits its own work to iterate and improve.
So the human is completely removed from the mechanical execution layer.
100%.
The Gate of AI report gives a really tangible example of this with a business license renewal. Under a traditional e-governance model, the business owner still carries the burden.
Oh, hell.
They have to remember the expiry date, log into a specific portal, fill out the application, upload financial documents, and then wait for a human bureaucrat to review the file.
And that entire sequence is defined by bureaucratic friction. Every single step requires a human to bridge the gap between different siloed systems.
But according to the mandate's vision for agentic AI, the business owner simply does nothing.
Right.
The AI monitors the expiry date natively. When the time comes, it autonomously reaches across multiple secure ministry databases, verifies the company's legal standing, checks financial compliance, and instantly issues the renewed license.
Zero prompting required.
Zero. But wait, I have to push back here. Government databases, regardless of the country, are notoriously siloed, messy, and prone to conflicting data.
Oh, absolutely. They're a nightmare everywhere.
Right, so you can't just unleash an autonomous agent into 50% of a nation's legacy servers without massive errors. How are they physically preparing the infrastructure to handle an AI that acts on its own, especially when the underlying data might be completely fragmented?
That is the defining technical challenge of this 24-month sprint. You cannot just flip a switch and let an agent roam free in a messy
No,
database.
that would be a disaster.
The integration relies on creating a specialized API layer, essentially a translation matrix, that allows the agentic AI to read unstructured legacy formats.
Okay, so it translates the old data.
Yes, but unlike rigid automation that breaks if a form is formatted incorrectly, an agentic system uses its language processing capabilities to understand the semantic meaning of a document.
What does that mean in practice?
It means it can look at a poorly scanned financial record from a decade ago, understand the context of the numbers, verify it against a modern tax database, and make an authoritative judgment.
So the AI itself acts as the connective tissue between the old systems and the new mandate.
Precisely.
It resolves the messy data in real time rather than requiring IT teams to spend, 5 years cleaning up the databases first.
The agent becomes the ultimate system integrator. And that autonomous, real-time judgment is exactly why the transition represents such a drastic paradigm shift. The government is essentially removing the human bottleneck from standard administrative processing.
Here's where it gets really interesting, though. If we are unleashing autonomous agents to make active judgments across all these messy, siloed government servers, the security risks have to be astronomical.
They are definitely significant.
Because you are dealing with highly sensitive citizen data, health records, financial histories, legal standings. You cannot just plug a generic off-the-shelf AI model from a massive tech company into a nation's critical infrastructure.
No, you absolutely cannot.
So how does a government secure an entire network of autonomous agents performing these high-level executive tasks?
The mechanism protecting this entire ecosystem is intense data sovereignty.
Okay.
When you elevate an AI from a chatbot to an executive partner, you cannot outsource its brain to a server sitting in another hemisphere.
Right, that makes sense.
The physical and digital borders of the intelligence must align with the physical and digital borders of the nation. This mandate necessitates sovereign AI infrastructure where the models live entirely within the UAE's jurisdiction, completely isolated from external internet vulnerabilities.
The report specifically points to localized models to solve this. It mentions the UAE's own Falcon and Jays architectures.
Yes, very prominent local models.
But I want to understand how that actually provides security. Because, a model speaking fluent Arabic is great for user experience, but how does the architecture itself prevent an autonomous agent from making a catastrophic error or, being externally manipulated?
The security comes from how the neural weights of the model are fundamentally structured.
Neural weights.
Yeah, so when you take a generalized model trained on the entire open internet, its baseline understanding of reality is an amalgamation of global data.
Right.
So it might process a legal prompt and synthesize a response based on common law from London or, say, corporate regulations from California.
Which wouldn't apply in Abu Dhabi.
Exactly. In a passive chatbot, we call that a hallucination, and it's mostly just annoying. But in an autonomous government system, that hallucination is an illegal action.
Wow. Because it would be executing a binding government service based on a foreign legal framework.
The consequences would be disastrous. By utilizing bespoke architectures like Falcon and Jays, the UAE is training the intelligence natively.
I see.
These models are fine-tuned specifically on local legal frameworks, cultural nuances, and the precise administrative protocols of the region. This fundamentally alters how the model processes logic. Its neural pathways are weighted toward sovereign law.
So it's not just translating a Western AI's logic into Arabic.
No, not at all.
It's a completely bespoke intelligence that natively thinks within the boundaries of the UAE's legal code.
Exactly. It creates a structural immunity to certain types of errors and external manipulations. If someone attempts to prompt inject the system or feed it a contradictory external logic, the model rejects it because its internal baseline reality is anchored entirely in local governance.
That is fascinating.
This deep foundational alignment is what allows the state to confidently hand over the keys to 50% of its operations. The agents are ring-fenced, culturally aligned, and legally precise at the mathematical level.
But if the AI is locked down, secure, and running half the government's mechanical execution autonomously, it raises an obvious question about the human element.
Always does.
Right, because someone still has to monitor the inside of the system. Globally, the anxiety around AI is palpable. When most corporations or governments announce automation, it is essentially a polite euphemism for mass layoffs.
A cost-cutting measure, yeah.
It's an efficiency play to reduce headcount. But the gate of AI piece highlights a completely counterintuitive strategy in this mandate. Instead of reducing the workforce, there is a massive mandate for human investment.
It represents a radical rethinking of civic labor. The mandate introduces a concept they call the human firewall.
The human firewall.
Yes, this transition is being actively overseen directly by Sheikh Mansour bin Zayed, and a non-negotiable pillar of the directive is that 100% of federal employees will undergo mandatory upskilling.
Wait, really? 100%?
100%.
They are sending every single civil servant through an AI mastery program.
Every clerk, every administrator, every director. The state is fundamentally altering the definition of a civil servant. The philosophy driving the human firewall is that citizens must manage, audit, and direct these autonomous systems rather than compete with them for basic data entry tasks.
Let's look at the mechanics of that. If you are a civil servant in this new system, what does your actual day look like?
It changes completely.
If the agentic loop is handling the business license renewals, the permit approvals, and the data verification, what are you doing when you log in at 9 in the morning?
You transition from mechanical execution to oversight and strategy. A civil servant in this environment logs into a dashboard monitoring a team of digital agents.
Okay.
They review the audit logs for anomalies, they fine-tune the parameters of the agents based on new policy directives, and they handle the complex edge cases. When you eliminate the bureaucratic friction of endless cross-referencing and manual approvals, you elevate human labor to what it actually does best.
Which is what?
The human mind is freed from the mechanics of governance. If we connect this to the bigger picture, it allows the newly elite tech management tier to focus entirely on high-level strategy and innovation.
It sounds like every employee essentially becomes an AI product manager, but the report uses a really interesting term when discussing the human role. It emphasizes citizen empathy.
Yes, a crucial point.
Why is empathy being highlighted in a highly technical mandate about autonomous execution?
Because empathy is the one variable an agentic system cannot compute. An autonomous AI can verify financial standing and issue a license in 3 milliseconds, sure.
Right.
But it cannot sit across a desk from a struggling small business owner, listen to the nuanced context of their unique financial hardship, and brainstorm a creative policy exception to help them survive. AI struggles with semantic ambiguity and deep human context.
So the technology acts as the engine, handling the heavy, high-speed execution, while the human workforce becomes the steering wheel, providing the ethical oversight, the innovation, and the empathy.
Beautifully put. By upskilling the entire federal workforce to be AI fluent, the government ensures that the human element isn't erased. It is concentrated.
Wow.
Citizens interacting with the state will experience instant mechanical efficiency, but when a problem requires nuance, they immediately reach a human who isn't bogged down in paperwork and actually has the time to listen.
The scale of restructuring an entire workforce while simultaneously deploying autonomous agents across messy databases is staggering. Which brings me to the timeline, 24 months.
It is incredibly fast.
Why the incredible rush? Because when we zoom out and look at the global landscape, lawmakers in the US and Europe are essentially gridlocked. We see endless regulatory battles, complex Senate hearings, and theoretical debates about what AI might be capable of in the next decade.
The contrast is completely deliberate, and the Gate of AI editorial frames this 24-month timeline as a geopolitical masterstroke.
The geopolitical masterstroke.
Yes. The West is currently trapped in a cycle of debating the theory of AI regulation. By setting this aggressive state-level mandate, the UAE is abandoning theoretical debate for rapid, practical execution. They are actively transforming the entire country into the ultimate global AI sandbox.
So what does this all mean? Meaning a live environment to test and refine these autonomous systems on a national scale.
Exactly. A living, breathing ecosystem. Consider the incentives for a top-tier global AI researcher or a massive technology investment fund.
Okay.
They possess incredible models but face immense friction, deploying them in jurisdictions that might tie their technology up in regulatory court for 5 years.
Right. Nobody wants that.
The UAE mandate offers a compelling you can integrate your autonomous models into the actual fabric of public infrastructure.
It acts as an irresistible magnet for global talent. If you want to see your life's work actually run a city, you go to the sandbox.
Precisely.
But that has to create immediate shockwaves regionally.
Oh, it instantly ignites a fierce regional tech race. Neighboring GCC hubs are placed under immense pressure by this timeline.
Yeah, they can't just sit back.
They are forced to accelerate their own sovereign AI implementations just to keep pace. Or they risk losing out on a massive influx of foreign investment and elite talent drawn to the UAE's decisive regulatory clarity.
And if we look beyond the region, let's fast forward past the 2028 deadline. Assuming they pull this off, assuming they successfully upskill the human firewall, deploy Falcon and Jaws to securely run 50% of operations, and eliminate the bureaucratic friction without systemic collapse, the UAE doesn't just end up with an efficient government.
No, they end up with a fully productized system.
Right. They create the most lucrative tech export of the century.
Exactly, because if you are a developing nation 5 or 10 years from now, you need to modernize your civic infrastructure. You aren't going to look to Silicon Valley for digital inspiration anymore.
That's a great point. Historically, nations tried to copy the Western smart app model, but in this timeline, the smart app is an obsolete concept.
Those developing nations will look to Abu Dhabi and Dubai. They will bypass the legacy IT phase entirely. Instead of spending billions trying to build reactive e-governance portals, they will purchase the operational blueprint for a 21st century autonomous state.
Selling the actual blueprints.
Yes. The UAE isn't merely building a customized infrastructure for its own citizens. It is building a battle-tested prototype for modern governance. The exportability of this model represents a complete shift in the center of gravity for global technological leadership.
We are witnessing a profound paradigm shift. We are moving from an era where we command our technology through tedious prompts and passive portals to an era where we partner with it at the highest executive levels of statecraft.
The implications of that shift leave us with a deeply provocative question regarding the future of civic life.
That's it.
If a government successfully drives its operational friction absolutely to zero, and its human workforce transitions entirely away from data entry toward profound empathy, strategic oversight, and localized problem solving, how does that fundamentally rewrite the social contract between the citizen and the state?
That is a profound thought.
Right. If the frustrating waiting lines, the complex forms, and the bureaucratic delays simply vanish, does interacting with your government eventually become as seamless and perhaps as deeply personalized as breathing?
Thank you for tuning in to our special coverage. To read the full analysis of this historic mandate, visit our website at gateofay.com.